Grand evening, everyone. It is Monday, September 30th, 2025. It is 2230 hours in the evening, Central Standard Time. And we have some emergency code black level breaking news tonight. Not even so much just tonight specifically, the last 2, 3 days, maybe, there's been some for sure code black level events that have occurred out in the world. It's definitely been off the charts recently. It's very, very concerning and very surprising all that is going on out there. The last week or so, just the month of September has been all off the charts. Check my audio here because one of my videos recently were it was all over the place. The audio. My phone is not cooperating, so I got to do it on here. Let's see. Okay. All right. That's good. The audio seems all right. I'll be checking that again a little bit later in this. This is initially a live stream recording that is posted to my YouTube channel. And this is all very real news and events that are going on out in the world. And another disclaimer is when I talk about financial stuff, it's all up to you as the viewer, whatever it may be, to make your own decisions when it comes to the physical assets, buying gold, silver, land, ammunition. So that's for sure. I was just checking my audio one more time. Let's get into this news here. So, Russia says a war with NATO will break out if NATO shoots down Russian aircraft. So, the Russians recently flew aircraft into Estonia, I believe it was. We talked about this recently. Yep. NATO met after Estonia invoked Article 4 recently. We talked about that. There was 3 Russian fighter jets that flew into Estonia and violated NATO airspace. So Russia is just asking for war with NATO right now. They're not they're not even trying to hide that at all. They're asking for war with NATO. All these things they're doing, the drone incursions and the aircraft going into NATO airspace. Let's see. Okay. Just checking the audio one more time there. Um, so this was major. Denmark announces that Aalborg Air Force Base of the Danish Air Force and Aalborg Airport in that same area have both just been closed after a new drone intrusion by unknown drones. Some reason they're calling it unknown drones, like they're trying to cover it up. And that was That was on Thursday. So more has happened since then. Then this is literally uh, a day after Friday. Russia dares NATO to shoot. That was from Axios, reported from them. So Russia is literally daring NATO to shoot at Russian aircraft and drones because Poland and some other NATO countries have decided that they'll shoot down Russian drones and aircraft that go into their airspace. Okay. And then a couple days later, uh, yesterday, Sunday, we had more breaking news that Denmark just announced new drone intrusions over its military facilities sometime on Sunday. So that's almost certainly Russia. I don't know why they weren't saying it was Russia. They're saying it was unknown. Uh, this week, at some point this week, Putin is to deliver a major speech. That's from some reports. Now, here on the domestic home front, President Trump has ordered the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to deploy troops to Portland, Oregon, granting authorization to use full force if needed. To use full force if needed. So they are there now. We have some National Guard, about 2,000, and other federal forces in Oregon. And Trump has granted authorization for them to use full force if needed. Then we had we have Denmark actually calling up soldiers from the reserve. Denmark's defense department urgently calls up soldiers from the reserve. That was from about 11 hours ago, uh, this morning. So probably slightly before that. So we have Denmark actually preparing for war now, likely with Russia. They wouldn't say it. That's so strange how they would say the drones and the aircraft, whatever it may have been. They're saying it was drones, was unknown. That's really something else that they wouldn't identify. They wouldn't put it solid on Russia. Maybe they didn't know, or they were trying to cover that up, that Russian drones were flying over their airspace recently. And then we have this Code Black level event from earlier. Venezuela's Maduro declares state of emergency over feared U.S. aggression. I believe that was from the vice president. Um, so Venezuela is preparing for war with the U.S. We have a lot of military personnel there, off the coast of Venezuela. We have a large part of the Navy, thousands of Marines, and other military aircraft now off the coast of Venezuela. Let's talk about these hurricanes. Let's check the audio. All right. This is from the NOAA. We have a Melda there off the coast of Florida. That's probably going to hit Florida. That's quite a spot. I don't see tracks for them, but We have Tropical Storm Imelda. It's a big storm that is just east off of Florida. Then we have Umberto, a massive hurricane. It's like, what is that? That's like Cat 4 or 5. The winds are sustained 120 knots, 140-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, I believe that's 4 or 5. That's a Category 4 or 5 hurricane. And that might be heading to the Carolinas or DC, possibly New York. We'll see where Umberto ends up going. That's a massive hurricane. They're saying it's going to curve out, though. Look at that. They're saying Umberto's going to go out to sea. That would be some serious luck. We've had no major landfalls yet for hurricanes. Wow. Let's see about Imelda. They're saying the same thing. How strange. It's like there's a barrier around the country. That's interesting. All these hurricanes have been going straight out to sea. They come close and then they turn out to sea. That's very, very interesting. So I guess we'll see what happens with the next hurricanes, but we'll have to keep watching these a little bit longer. Um, though again, we'll see what happens with the next ones that may end up coming in this direction. um, the last night or so, the nuclear forces have been acting very strange. We even had some of the nuclear forces doing some kind of phone call uh, to, I believe, somewhere in Hawaii. They put out a phone number for a call. Something may have really been going on with the nuclear forces. The frequencies, they even had the switch frequencies recently. It's been really strange with that. And they were also doing some kind of major communications with nuclear subs somewhere out in the Pacific. So that's absolutely major. Then we also have the meeting coming up in Quantico, Virginia, I believe. It's I believe, a Marine Corps base. That's where all the generals and admirals, the Department of War, and President Trump himself is going to be there to talk to them about maybe doing martial law and making sure they all know what to do. There's a couple of those possibilities, um, especially preparing for just World War III as a whole and what to do when all these when the time comes. They don't call all the generals and admirals to one place for no reason. There's something absolutely major, uh, like world changing, that they are going to talk about at that meeting. So I'm sure we may find out more specifically in the coming days. It's very much so in person. They're not doing it virtually, online, anything like that, so that the Russians and the Chinese can't intercept and gather that intelligence. That's a major reason why they're doing that all in person. Now, there's the big risk that Russia or China does something major and nukes that place while they're all in one spot. That would seriously damage the military leadership in this country. It would cause massive disarray. That would not be good if they take out the leadership just like that. Um, We'll see what happens though with that whole meeting coming up. That is one of the most major events that is upcoming. Keep on preparing. I always recommend physical assets, though that is entirely your own decision, not mine. I myself would love to get gold, silver, land, ammunition. I'll definitely be getting more ammunition coming up. Uh, Gold and silver, that's very expensive for me personally. Especially, gold is at like, that's another thing I almost forgot to mention. Gold is nearing $4,000 an ounce. Like possibly by the next time I come on here, it could be 4,000. Gold has went through the ceiling. It's went through the roof. It's in the sky right now. Gold is going up and up and up. It's at over $3,800 an ounce right now. Silver, I'm not entirely sure about. I would have to look. I believe it's probably a little over $30. But gold is through the roof. It's in the sky. That's a more accurate term for it. There's always land, though, and ammunition. Land is even more expensive than gold, pretty much, depending how much you get. And then there's food. People don't think about food and storable food, things like that. That's going to be very much so needed. It's needed now. Buying storable food right now is an amazing thing to do. It's one of the best preparedness actions that people could take, I would say. Keep on preparing. We'll see what happens with these upcoming events, especially maybe some hurricanes coming up. I'll be watching these ones a little bit more. The most major thing, though, is that meeting coming up. All the generals, admirals, the Department of War, Pete Hegseth's going to be there. He's the secretary of the Department of War. And President Trump is even going to be talking to all of them. So we'll see how that all goes. And hopefully we find out more as to what it's really about. I will be back soon with further news and updates. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And maybe even donate if you feel like it. I'll be putting the donation link in the description. Thanks for watching. Love, light, and blessings to you all.